Do we have John now? I believe
If
John
there's one guy in the media who would have pressed him, I know it would be
John
Jeff
McMullen.
It would be Jeff McClain or John McMullen. Exactly.
Yeah, he joins
Trust
us
me,
now. John,
they won't give me a press pass.
Thanks for joining us, and I assume you've heard all the post-game reaction from the important parties, so I'll throw it right at you. What in the hell were they trying to do offensively today with that game plan? Because they looked confused. They didn't look like they knew what they wanted to do. They didn't run the football at all. Minshew looked like a fish out of water. What answers did you get from the head coach?
Well, not many. It was, other than it was a poor performance, which I think everybody knows. So my question was, you had 4 consecutive 3-and-outs, 4 consecutive 3-and-outs. Now, this offense has been really, really good. There have been times when they throw it too much, they go with that tempo, and they have the lopsided time of possession, but they usually correct it with Jalen Hurts, obviously. But you had Gardner Minshew today, and, I kind of compare it to sort of your fourth, 5th member of the rotation, if you want to use the baseball analogy, and he didn't have his good stuff. He was inaccurate. He was a little bit spooked early, I think, by the Saints pass rush, which the Eagles offensive line did not have a great day. A lot of that had to do with Lane Johnson, but not all of it. They had 6 penalties, 4 false starts. Again, false starts at home, I don't get. That's been a theme with this team. It was just a sloppy performance. They didn't play well. But I think the irony of all ironies, Week 18 is meaningful for the Eagles. It's not meaningful for the Giants. The Giants are locked into the 6th seed. The Giants don't have to play the game. The Eagles still have to win the division and win the conference and play the game. So I think that's good news for the Eagles. I wouldn't panic. But, yeah, this was a bad performance. Easily their worst game of the year. Easily.
John, I want to get your professional opinion on something. Let me ask you this first of all. You were in practice every day last week, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so you were among the contingent that saw Jalen Hurts walk out there.
That dog and pony show. Don't get
there you
me
go.
started.
Okay, there you go. See, that's what I'm getting at. So, and I've seen this too many times over the last decade or so, especially since social media has arrived in our lives. You see a star quarterback go out there and practice take the first team reps, blows up on social media. All of a sudden, he's deactivated on Sunday. He doesn't play. People got excited because they saw Jalen Hurts throwing short passes. How much of practice were you guys actually able to watch when he was out there just slinging around short passes, first of all?
This time of year, we're only allowed to watch, the first 15 or so minutes of practice. And you get to see a little bit of individual work, and then as they start to go in, throw to the running backs a little bit. But it was interesting about what was funny about Thursday. I can now talk about it. I wasn't allowed to talk about it. The Eagles make it. I joked the dateline should have been Langley, Virginia, because they're acting like this is the CIA, disinformation. Oh, you can't talk about Jack Driscoll taking first-team reps at right tackle.
What?
Like Dennis Allen is awake at night worrying about, is it going to be Jack Driscoll or Andre Dillard or Jordan Mailata? You don't do that, but feel free to waltz up to the starting quarterback and take all the video. I have never been that close to Jalen Hurts in my life. Now, I joke. I get close to him all the time. But at practice, they keep us away from the quarterbacks as much as humanly possible. And on Thursday, we're like, by all means, go in the end zone, go over to the side of the field, make sure you get enough photos and videos of the starting quarterback. Mm-hmm. And, on Burst 365, I said, I don't think Jalen's playing. I don't think he's going to practice this week. And a lot of people were dunking on me on Thursday because he did practice. And I said, wait till Sunday, because, when they went to the ball security drills, Jalen didn't participate. And I was saying, look, if you can't survive Shane Steichen hitting you with a pad, how are you going to survive DeMario Davis taking a shot at your shoulder on game day?
That's right.
He was never going to play. It was all subterfuge. And I do think it was a 2-week injury. 2 to 3 weeks is what I was told. originally. I do think he can play. He will be able to play in Week 18. I think they'll feel comfortable that the threat of re-injury or making it more serious has been alleviated. We'll see how that shakes out. But if the Giants aren't going to play, I mean, that might make their decision a little bit easier.
So John, based on what the information you're saying, then do you? Be honest. Do you think? And here's what I'm thinking: that after discussions with the trainers and the doctors, they still didn't feel that shoulder is where it needs to be to play in a game, knowing the magnitude of this game and what it meant in terms of clinching, and they feel maybe an extra 7 days would be that much more beneficial to getting him back to where they need him to be.
Well, I think, if you look at an AC sort of shoulder sprain, it has grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. Yep. From the Eagles' description early on, it was pretty clear Jalen Hurts had a grade 2. And if you read the documentation, I talked to a doctor from Vail, Colorado, shoulder guy. He said it's a 2 to 3 week injury. But if you try to push it, it's where the collarbone meets the breastbone. If you try to push it, you're more susceptible to breaking the collarbone. Mm-hmm. So while people say, well, what does 7 days mean? And Seth can talk about this. 7 days could mean an eternity for an NFL player. Yep. And there's a big difference between 2 weeks and 3 weeks with this particular injury.
John, you forget I'm old school. 7 days.
He doesn't forget.
Seven. There's a big difference between 7 days in my era and 7 days in today's players' era. Listen, I get the sense that every single one of these players on this football team is hurting in some fashion. Some may even be playing, with injury. I respect the fact that the Eagles have put themselves in a position where you want to do what's best for your quarterback, especially coming from an era where they didn't, frankly, give a damn how bad you were hurt. They would just put you back out there. So I can respect that. But, I'm of the mindset that, even when he comes back next week, he's going to have some pain. He's going to have some discomfort. He's going to get hit on that shoulder again, and who knows, the difference between a week, 7 days and playing today, could have been them wrapping up, the division today. I don't know. They made a decision. It is what it is. I'm just going to move on from it. My question is, but when you came on, and you got kind of turned off, Mike asked the question, if we were in the press conference, what's the first question that we would have asked Nick Sirianni? And D Gunn started off, he was like, Coach, what was the game plan for the day? Okay. And I'm sure D Gunn might have followed it up. My question would have been, Coach, what took you so damn long to change your game plan after the first 2 series? You went 3 and out. So you knew right there, this whole mode of operation to come out and throw the ball, it wasn't working. And I understand what you're trying to do. You're trying to throw it early to get up and get a lead, and then you can balance out the run later on, in your 4-minute offense. Yeah, okay? It wasn't working today, and it didn't work. You went 3 and out, and then the clock ran out on you, at the half. And you had, 0 points, 1 first down. I mean, it was just an atrocious, display of offense. Why in the hell do you guys seem intent on trying to throw the ball and forcing it even when it's not there? They came out in the second half, John, and they made the decision to run the ball. They finally got something going before the offense stalled and they had to settle for a field goal. But at the same token, at least the offense was moving. And then the next series, they come back and they start throwing it, trying to air it out again. I just don't get this mentality. When you do something well, okay, the Eagles offense ranks 4th in run in the NFL, 153 yards. Now I get it. Jalen Hurts accounts for a lot of that. But Miles Sanders is a 1,000-yard rusher. And he only touches the ball in a running fashion twice. in the entire first half. I mean, this is just, I don't know how you feel about it, and I know I'm ranting rather than asking a question right now, but as bad as Gardner Minshew played, I don't even blame him. I put this on Nick Sirianni, and I put this on Shane Steichen for the type of game that they call and the situation that they put him in. They put him in a position to fail because they asked him to do things today that they know damn well that he's not capable of doing, especially when they got behind.
Yeah, I think that's a fair criticism of this staff. If you go back last week, I said the same thing on defense with Jonathan Gannon and Josiah Scott on 3rd and 30. You know, why not just play cover 2 instead of playing cover 2 sink? And you're asking Josiah Scott to do this sort of maybe this thing he's not comfortable with, where Avonte Maddox could do it. Similar offensively today, I do think this team gets into a little bit too much of a mindset that, all right, the backup's going to go in there. We're going to ask him to do what the starter does. And, you know, Jack Driscoll with Lane Johnson, you know, it's not the same. Josh Sweat goes down in a scary situation today. It's not the same. When you're down to backups, yeah, you have to adjust. So when I look at the Eagles, you know, it was 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. I think it was 4 3 and outs to start the game. And then they finally got the first down with 11 seconds. Then they got another first down, but it was halftime. And then they came out of halftime and they played with a little bit more energy, a little bit more tempo, and they converted a first down. I don't know how many plays they had in the first half, but it was less than 20. It was maybe 15, 16. That's ridiculous. So, you know, it was a combination.
17 total, John.
Yeah, 17. So it was a combination of things. The quarterback wasn't playing well. The offensive line was struggling without Lane Johnson. You know, the 2 carries that Miles didn't get, you know, maybe you got to – I think people don't realize Miles is hurt. Miles missed practice on Wednesday. It was just a walkthrough, but he's got a knee problem. He's wearing a knee brace, if you guys noticed, on his left knee.
Yeah.
He's banged up. So maybe that played into the thinking as well. But as coaches, you got to find a way to scheme up a stinking first down. Is what I'm trying to say.
So let me follow up on that, because you said that what did you learn from the coach about this? And you said not much. What? How come? Like, what was his explanation for it? I assume he was asked about it.
Yeah, it was asked about it. I asked him, you know, what do you think of Gardner's, you know, performance? And it was basically, you know, I got to watch the film. No, you don't. Well, for certain things you do. But he knows what went on, and he knows, look, the guy wasn't playing well. Now, he did admit it wasn't his best game, understated that. But, yeah, why do you keep trying to throw the football? I mean, think about the pick 6 to Lattimore. I mean, he's making bad decisions. Lattimore hasn't played since week 5, but everybody in this league knows how good he is, knows how smart he is. Why are you putting a quarterback who's having a bad day in that situation?
That's right. That's right.
So he didn't have any answers for it?
Well, as I said, Mike, it's the typical. I got to watch the film, and we'll see what went wrong. What went wrong? What went wrong? It's fair to say this was the worst performance of the season. Look, this is a personnel-driven league. I do think, you know, it's the old adage. You know, the coach and the quarterback gets too much credit when they win, too much blame when they lose. The players didn't play well. And when your players aren't playing well, you're going to have an issue. But there are things you can do to maybe mask some of the deficiencies. And I don't think Shane Steichen particularly and Nick Sirianni on the offensive side did a good job of this.
John, just one follow-up before I move on to the other guys who want to ask you more questions. You said that since the Giants don't need the game, maybe that makes the Eagles' decision easier. And what are you saying, that there's a chance that because the Giants aren't playing full bore, that they would go back to Minshew?
I mean, there's a chance if there's worried about Jalen Hurts, but it's all health related. It's all, you don't want to risk your starting quarterback for the playoffs. You don't want to risk it. If the Giants make it clear they're not going to play the game, like Tennessee did on Thursday night, or some other teams have started to do, yeah, that makes it an easy decision.
Really?
If they're not going to play the game, how are they going to beat you? If they're not trying to win the game, I don't know what the Giants are going to do, and we'll see what they're going to do. But I can't imagine the Giants are going to play Saquon Barkley. I can't imagine it.
No,
I can't imagine that they're going to play Daniel Jones more than a series or two. Why would they? Why would they? They're locked in to the 6th seed. So if you're not going to play your best players, I do think that makes things a little bit easier for the Eagles. I mean, I think that's pretty evident. And by the way, Minnesota's getting waxed in Green Bay.
Yep.
So you don't have to worry about that as far as the number 1 seed. So there's another team you don't have to worry about. So it's not as bad as people are making it out to be when it comes to the NFC East and the number 1 seed.
John, we spent a lot of time here talking about the coaching decisions and the interplay of the offense, but I can't let this defense off the hook over that first 30 minutes. Of the players that you guys talked to, what kind of answers did you get to questions like, how do you let a bland offense like the Saints that have been inconsistent, number one, control the clock for 22 minutes in the first half and run 39 plays against your defense? And you knew exactly what they were going to do. The Wildcat is an integral part of that offense. In the opening drive, they ran the Wildcat 6 times, which enabled them to go down the field and punch it in on almost a 9-minute drive. Did players answer to these questions?
Yeah, I mean, well, the thing about I think the defense adjusted quicker
in the second half.
Sure, yeah. And they only gave up 20 points. And my God, Andy Dalton spends all day in the pocket. I mean, they had 7 sacks. They could pass now the Chicago Bears for the sack record next week. Granted, 17 games, but they're that close. They're at 68. The record is 72. Yeah. They were fine. The defense as a whole was fine. Other than that first drive, I think the Eagles got some of their own medicine they're not used to. That short yardage stuff is difficult with Taysom Hill. I mean, that guy is big. That guy is powerful. And if you're 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, 4th and 1, 4th and 2, that's going to be really difficult to stop. That's what teams typically deal with the Eagles and Jalen Hurts. Well, they got some of their own medicine. Overall, the offense was so bad. I can't get to the defense. I mean, there's some things they weren't great in coverage.
Again.
Yeah, and again, they don't have Avonte Maddox. They don't have C.J. Gardner-Johnson.
Yep.
So some of that should be expected. But again, I mentioned last week with Gannon, don't ask Josiah Scott to do what Avonte Maddox does. Don't ask Reed Blankenship to do what C.J. Gardner-Johnson does. I think that part of it's fair.
John, Seth, you got something?
Yeah, I'm just.
Go ahead. Seth.
It's just I'm gonna. John, you can't get over to the offensive side. I mean, it's like night and day what they did on the defensive side. They had 5 possessions in the first half. They gave up 13 points in the first half with 1 punt, and then they come out and they reel off. They make them punt the ball 5 times in the second half, but the offense can't figure out, what to do with the football on the other side. My thing is, if you're able to make these adjustments in the first half, why can't you make the adjustments, in the second half, right? Why can't you make these adjustments in the first half? You talk about, I think I was talking to someone a couple of days ago about the whole Taysom Hill thing. you know that 99.9% of the time when he comes in the game, he's going to run the football, okay? So just go zero coverage, go man-to-man across the board, force him to have to throw the ball, okay? And just go gap defense all the way across the board. You know, there are times where I'm looking at, you know, when they get into their five-man front, their five-man front is almost like an Eagle front. It's almost like the 46. But sometimes I watch TJ Edwards and his alignment is so misaligned because instead of him lining up outside on the tackle, either head up or outside shade on the tackle, he'll line up stacked over the defensive tackle. So when they double down on the tackle and the tackle goes up second level, now there's no edge there. TJ can't turn that play back into the other guy or to the rest of the defense. I mean, these little small things, John, that I'm looking at, that just they don't make any sense to me. You know, take away what he does. Taysom Hill, you stop him on 3rd and 3, and then they turn around and have the audacity to run the same damn play at you again on 4th and 3, and you allow him to convert it? You know, no. I would have had my linebackers step up in, everybody get in your gap, okay? And let's take away the gap. If we build a gap defense all the way across, he has nowhere to run. He's got to dance until somebody gets off a play. And I'm just like, I'm watching this, and it just makes no sense to me that you knew that Taysom Hill is going to get about 20% of the offensive plays. Yet you had, like everybody else, you had no answer for him. When Alvin Kamara is the only real weapon that they had, you had no answer for him whatsoever. And I just thought that, you know, he was the difference maker. But then you go to the second half of the game, that's really where they put the clamps on him and put him in position where they really couldn't, where he was a non-factor.
Yeah, well, I do think, you know, and Taysom Hill, it's kind of where you're going to put him. I do think it's not. I mean, he is capable of throwing the football, and that's what makes him a problem. Now, as a starting quarterback, and he got one opportunity, he's not going to be a starting quarterback. But this guy can throw the football. So if you do go zero on him, he will throw the football and
make him complete
the pass.
Make him prove that he can complete it. Okay.
Yeah, I think it was 2 for 2 today. So when he did throw the ball, he was 2 for 2. And the reason why is because there's so much attention to him as a runner. Well, all of a sudden that creates some issues on the back end. And I'll give our buddy Mike Quick credit because he was talking about Shaheed on New Orleans before the game, undrafted rookie, really fast from Weber State. And he said he's going to get him because they don't know. And he got Bradbury.
Yeah, he did.
He got Bradbury for that 58-yard gain, and the Eagles were able to hold him to a field goal. And Chris Olave is a good player, and he was back in the lineup, and he really gave the Eagles some trouble, especially early. He was a big part of it early. And then they settled down, and Andy Dalton, like I said, I think he got a recliner delivered to Lincoln Financial Field because he just holds onto the football forever. I mean, just holds it and holds it and holds it and holds it. And they get home for 7 sacks. Bottom line, this is 2023 now. Happy New Year's, by the way, everybody. This is 2023. In the 2023 NFL, if you give up 20 points, you should win.
That's right.
Certainly the Eagles should win.
That's right.
And they didn't. So that's why I go, that's Seth. That's why I go offense before I go defense.
There's no question. John, always a pleasure. Thank you. And so next week's an important game. And if you just heard what John McMullen said, maybe they try to survive it with Minshew since the Giants may not participate.
Not
John,
a chance in hell. Not a snowball's chance in hell.
We'll talk to you next week, John.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right,
take care, John.
JAKIB Media. I know he shook you up with that answer.
No.
You think it's a real possibility.
No way. Hey, listen, let me tell you something, Mike. Okay? If everybody thinks that the Giants are going to come in here and lay down and give the Eagles the easy path to the division and to the #1 seed, you got another thing coming. You got to remember the mindset of one Brian Daboll and the mindset of one, Wink Martindale. They're going to come in here. the Eagles embarrassed them the first game, put
That's
up
right.
48 points on them.
That's right.
You think they're gonna come in here and lay down and just give the Eagles? They ain't giving them.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
No, there ain't no we'll see. I'm telling you right now. Okay? Not only do those coaches have a sense of pride and they realize that they haven't played very well, and they have to play against a winning team, a good football team going into the playoffs. You think they're going to back off right now? Hell no. Hell no.
All right.
And if the Eagles coaching staff think that that's the issue, then guess what? They don't deserve the NFC East or the first round bye.
I love it. He's all stirred up because we got plenty of show left. We got game balls, and we have our drive of the game next, and we're calling in the doc. That's right. We got to talk about some injuries, especially Jalen Hurts, especially Josh Sweat, some other guys. Dr. Bruce Grosinger will join us. Stay tuned because up next, our drive of the game, fellas. And I'm guessing it's not going to